Guys, good morning. Today we're going to discuss about the vocabulary which is going to be frequently asked in your preparation for CTS, because I know like verbal plays a very important role for students to actually clear the test, especially in CTS. So vocabulary, it's going to be very tough. I mean, obviously, if you're not used to vocabulary, it's going to be a difficult task, which we would actually face. So today I'm going to just help you out in actually remembering a set of vocabularies which could be easy for you to remember. At the same time, you can, in a exam point of view, I don't think you'll have any difficulty of remembering this. Okay, let's get started. The first video and the first question that we have right now is like, so I've just given you some pictures also about people, and I've just given you just for a pictorial representation can make you help this, learn the vocabulary much easier. So by looking at the picture, you may have an understanding right now saying this, who's this person? So the person very much looks like a guru, correct? So a person who's a guru is obviously known with characteristics of self-discipline, a person who can actually who can motivate people, who's more learned with a lot of philosophical ideas. So those people are called as sage. There's another person, there's another name for it. He's also an ascetic. They call it as an ascetic as well. So ascetic is a person who's self-disciplined and who's having his own set philosophical ideas and majorly related to a religion. So it is sage or ascetic, correct? So they have a lot of good qualities in them. In that comes in influencing people, talking good to people, making the right, giving ideas to people and things like that. So when a person has a lot of ideas or a person who can actually influence people, he's called he's called with another name, and the name is cogent. You see it here. A person gives his finger on top. It's more like a politician or a person who can actually make a difference, is what you could see in the picture. So it's very much talking about a cogent. A cogent is a person who can actually influence people, who can talk good about people. So futile is the opposite of it. Futile is like you have nothing productive, nothing useful. So futile is like a person who's not capable or something which is not capable of making any real impact. So futile is that. Okay. So the opposite of futile is going to be cogent. Cogent is a more productive person, more of an influencer or a persuader who can make a difference in people's life. So when we talk about a persuader, like the person will also have a lot of other good qualities, which is like helping people, trying to make a difference in people's life. So that would be an inbuilt quality in them, correct? It's an inbuilt quality in them. So that kind of a person is called, that attitude is called a complacent attitude, complacent. So that's why I put Malala's picture here. You should be knowing this, Ms. Yousafzai Malala from Pakistan, who's made a lot of difference in people's life through education. So she, on her own will, try to help people. So that is more about what you term it as complacent. Complacent is like you try helping people for a good reason on your own will. So that is called complacent. So what would be the diffident? Diffident or bellicose? These things are like opposite of it. A person who doesn't want to do a lot of help, or a person who's not known for a lot of help, more ineffective stuff. So that is termed as diffident. And bellicose is like more warlike. It is like a person who's actually against. So he's not a person who's willing to help. Instead, he's playing the opposite role. So bellicose or diffident is going to be the opposite of complacent. Okay. I think it's kind of easy right now, where we started talking about a sage and he's having a good quality, a lot of good qualities. One of the qualities of his is being influencing and persuading, and that persuaders will always have a lot of good qualities. One among them is complacent, being complacent. So next, after being complacent, then we get into something called eulogy. So eulogy is like when a person is actually, who's done a lot of good things, got good things, and he has a lot of good behaviors of himself. When he is dead, or when a person is no more, obviously you know what, people will talk about a lot of good things about them. They'll start talking good about them, say good things about them. That kind of a person is called, that kind of thing is called eulogy. Eulogy is like talking good things about a person on his death. Okay, so denunciation or censure is going to be the opposite of it. So there's nothing new or nothing good about a person. It's more about a verbal attack, or maybe talking negative about a person. It is termed as denunciation or censure. Okay, the opposites of eulogy is denunciation or censure, where it is like not of any good, not of any good. So now you should have had an understanding right now. We started with the sage. Good qualities is like more of an influencer. Then we got cogent, and cogent is again a good thing about a person. And the opposite of it was futile. And now we got into the next person who's a complacent person who tries to, on his own will, who tries to help. And the opposite of that is like, you know, that it was bellicose. And then you got the eulogy is like more good things about a person. And the opposite is denunciation and censure. Right now, we've spoke about a lot of good things. Now we'll start moving on to the negatives of negative words. So the words that we have is diatribe. Diatribe. You see the opposite being eulogy. So eulogy is like sort of talking good about a person and really nice things about a person. Diatribe is more of a verbal attack, just an opposite of eulogy. Just like the other things that we spoke about, censure. Similar to censure is what you have it as diatribe. It's talking about a verbal attack, talking ill about a person, talking negative about a person is termed as diatribe. Okay, eulogy is talking good about a person. Okay, so the opposite of it is diatribe. So when a person talks ill about a person, when we start talking ill about a person or negative things about a person, we know for sure we start teasing the person, we start ridiculing the person. So that term is termed as when you start ridiculing the person or talking ill about a person, it is called as deride. You term it as deride. Deride is talking negative about a person or talking ill about a person. Okay, so the opposite of that is what? Endorse. Endorse is what? You talk good about a person, you talk great things about a person, and you start talking for him. That is termed as endorsing. You talk really good things about an individual and you make very good life easy for that person is termed as endorsing. Okay, deride is talking ill about a person. Okay, making ridiculing about the person's ability. That is termed as deriding. So endorsing is like talking positive about a person. And when you start ridiculing about the person, it is also because what happens is maybe the person speaks, we start talking more about a person again and again and again and again. We talk ill about the person again and again. So that kind of an individual is termed as garrulous. Garrulous is like a person who always talks nonsense, which is of not making any sense or any productivity. That is termed as more of garrulous. Garrulous is like talking for needless things. That is termed as garrulous. And the opposite of that is what? Taciturn. Taciturn is a person who doesn't open his mouth at all, who's silent, who's on his own, who's more of reserved, and he doesn't speak much. He doesn't talk, he doesn't want to get involved in a lot of people's life. He's more of taciturn, more of a positive thing. Wherein garrulous is like he chit-chats, talks for no reasons. That is more of garrulous. And when the person talks more about himself again and again and again, what happens is, when the people start talking about other people and they start talking more, they start thinking they're made of great things. They're really good. They're like better than a lot of other people. So they start thinking more about themselves. Those kind of people who overpromise, those people are called as hyperbole. Hyperbole are like people who promise more than what they can do. They can actually do only little, but they'll start talking more about people. They'll say like, I'm that much, I'm this much, I'm doing this, I'm good at this, I'm good at this, but doesn't make a lot of difference. This picture itself would sum it up. It says like, I'm so hungry, I eat horse. So no one can eat a horse, but it is actually talking about a person who talks too much about himself. So, but we see the other one, belittlement. Belittlement is about the opposite of that, which means you're talking very little about your own ability. You're talking very less or very limited about your own ability. That is belittlement. Okay, that is what we have in this. So the last one about this is like the hyperbole. Hyperbole is a person who talks too much, and belittlement is like speaking very limited. So what happens is the opposite of belittlement is a person who's more socializing, which means who talks more, who talks on a positive sense, who talks positively to all of them, becomes friends of a lot of people. So that kind of person is called a socialite. He's a person who's termed as socialite. And the opposite of socialite is a person who's called as a recluse. Recluse is more of an introvert who doesn't talk to people, who's like, in fact, worried or afraid of talking to people. That kind of a person is called recluse. Okay, that term is termed as recluse. And the opposite of that is socialite, which means a person who talks more to individuals. He's called as a socialite. So this is it. Okay, it's a very simple structure wherein it says socialite, the opposite of socialite is recluse, a person who doesn't even speak a lot to people. And the opposite of recluse is what? Recluse, the opposite of that is like more of, on the positive sense, you could say a socialite, and the opposite, the negative sense you could call as an hyperbole. Correct? So similarly, so all these words are connected. So I'm trying to create ideology for you guys, where you get a lot of questions which are repeated in this company called CTS. These questions, these terms are all used in CTS. These synonyms are are a part of CTS test. The old question papers have these questions. So what I'm trying to tell you is, like, when you have a connection, when you learn it in vocabulary, it's going to be very easy. I don't think it's going to be tough. By now we would have learned 20 words. Very easily we learn 20 words just because we'll have to know the way to learn it, not creating things which are going to be tough for us, not by marking up stuff, just to make it a small story. Through a story, you can learn it easily and very easily and make a difference to yourself. Okay, that is what I would suggest for you guys. And I would see you in my next video. Thank you so much for your time and patience. See you guys. Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you.